Hello Year 9, this is your lesson on adding and subtracting algebraic fractions. Now, when we add or subtract fractions, hopefully you remember that we need to write them with a common denominator. That common denominator can be any common multiple of the denominators involved in the question, but it usually makes things easiest if we use the lowest common multiple. So in this numeric example, I could just multiply 8 by 12 to get 96 and use 96 as my common denominator. But it's going to give me easier numbers if I notice that 8 and 12 both have a common multiple of 24. And that's going to give me much smaller numbers. So rather than having 36 over 96 plus 40 over 96 and then having to simplify 76 over 96, it's easier if I say 9 over 24 plus 10 over 24. And my answer is simplified, and so I don't need to go any further. So this is an idea to bear in mind when we're working with algebraic fractions. So I'm going to go through a few examples. Here I have numeric denominators, so my process is exactly the same as if I just had numerals on my numerators. My common denominator is going to be the lowest common multiple of 5 and 3, which is 15. To change the 5 into 15, I multiplied by 3. Because I did that to the denominator, I need to do that to the same thing to the numerator. To change the 3 to 15, I multiplied it by 5. Because I did that to the denominator, I need to do the same to the numerator. Now I have a common denominator, I just add the numerators together. And the denominator stays the same. Here is a second example. Here we have 3 and 9. Now I could multiply those together to have a common denominator of 27, or I could notice that I can just multiply 3 by 3 to get 9. So my common denominator is going to be 9. Don't forget this negative sign here. Because I multiplied my denominator by 3, I need to multiply my numerator by 3. My second fraction just stays the same. So I have negative 3m over 9 plus 2m over 9, which gives me negative m over 9. Pause the video now while you have a go at question 1. As a bare minimum, make sure you do A, D, E and H. Here are your answers. Please make sure you mark your work. We can also add fractions that have the pronumerals in the denominator using the same method as we have done so far. So to add fractions, we need to have a common denominator. For this question, we do have a common denominator. So all we need to do is add the numerators together and the denominator stays the same. In this question, I can see that my denominators are different. Now I could multiply them together to find a common multiple, or I could just notice that this is 3 times this. So I can just multiply my first fraction by 3 over 3. And then now I have a common denominator, I can add the numerators together and the denominator stays the same. Here, again, I have different denominators, so I'm going to have to multiply both of them this time. I could multiply this by x squared and this by 7x, but they share a common factor of x, so I don't need to do that. I can multiply this denominator by 7 to get 7x squared. Because I've multiplied the denominator by 7, I need to remember to multiply the numerator by 7. This denominator, 7x, I can multiply by x to get 7x squared. Because I multiplied the denominator by x, I need to multiply the numerator by x. Now I have a common denominator, I can just add the numerators together. There's no way of simplifying 35 plus 4x, so I just write 35 plus 4x. Pause the video now while you have a go at these questions from 2. Be careful, some are addition and some are subtraction. Make sure you're paying attention to which is which, and the green ones are the bare minimum. And here are your answers. Make sure you mark your work. So we might have denominators that have got more than one term in them. Let's have a look at what we do here. So 4 over x minus 1 plus 2 over x plus 1. So there's no common factor here, so I just need to multiply my first fraction by x plus 1 over x plus 1, my second fraction by x minus 1 over x minus 1. So I'm going to use brackets. So that's my first fraction. And there's my second fraction. Now we have a common denominator. I can write them as a single fraction, adding the numerators together. Now I can expand the brackets. And then I can simplify the numerator by collecting like terms. 4x plus 2x, 4 minus 2. What I can do, there is a common factor of 2 in my numerator, so I can factorise that, because sometimes I will end up with a factor that matches with one of the factors on the bottom, then I can simplify even further. Pause the video now while you have a go at these parts from question 3. Be careful when you subtract. I will go through an example of this in a moment in case you need an extra example. Okay, so I'm going to go through E as an example of a subtraction in case you need it. I'm going to do it up here. So I multiply the first fraction by x minus 1 over x minus 1. And the second fraction by x plus 2 over x plus 2. Now, when I come to write this as a single fraction, I'm subtracting the numerator So then I need to be careful when I expand the brackets. This is minus 4x and negative 4 times positive 2 minus 8. I won't go any further with that one, but you just need to be careful with those negatives. Here are your answers for question 3. Make sure you mark your work and ask if you have any questions. Thank you.